Thank you. I'd like to call the Strategic Planning Committee to order. It is September 17th at 6 p.m. I'm Sherry Tice, the chairman, here with Zach Brook and John Moats, as well as the rest of council members and our mayor. Our first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from our September 3rd meeting. Did you both have a chance to read over those?
Yes. Yes, it
Are
did.
there any changes or corrections?
Nope. Make a motion for approval. Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Zach, seconded by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. I would like to change the agenda this evening at the request of one of our guests. We have the Pickaway County Pickleball Association. We'd like to move them up. They are here to share their vision with us. So, Mrs. Strauser, if you would come up to the microphone, please.
Okay. I'm Julie Strauser, and I'm here with Tanya Wood. She's our chairperson of our Pickaway County Pickleball Association. We have met with the park board, and we have been communicating with Mr. Stanley and Mrs. Blanton and letting them know how many people we're having play. We actually have 2 good playing surfaces that will accommodate 8 people. And we've been having 30 to 35 folks out there on some Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I thank Sherry for moving us up because that's where we're going when we're finished. We're going to go out and play and be numbers 36 and 37. But at any rate, we got approval from the park board to expand a playing surface, and we're going to apply for a NatureWorks grant. My understanding is council has to do some legislation for us to do that. Mr. Stanley had said that we don't need legislation for them to do some in-kind work, some city work. So that's really why we're here, is we've done the park board. Now we're here to ask you all to put something together for some legislation that we can apply for that NatureWorks grant. It's due, I think, March. I don't know. You remember? Okay, maybe March. But once you get that, then you can proceed. So we're trying to get all our ducks in the row to expand our playing surface area. Did I cover that? Do you have any questions?
How much is the grant that you're requesting?
Well, the first grant we want to apply for is a South Central Power grant. That would be $10,000. And the NatureWorks grant last time was $40-some thousand. Well, this time it's only 20 because somebody got in there ahead of us and got $20,000 this year. But we want to apply for that. And then we're going to be doing some local fundraising. So I've already, gotten a hold of a few businesses and given them a heads up that we may be knocking on the door. We also, as an association, will be donating money for this project. We have a ladies ladder league that plays on Sundays. We're collecting money from our ladder league to help with that too. So the city's been kind enough to offer some in-kind work for us, but yet it's not going to be a teeny little project.
So your goal is to build a 3rd pickleball court next to the other 2?
Well, we got a first bid that was a whole lot more money than we thought. And so we may be looking at Plan B, and we haven't run this by the park board yet, and we will do that, of course, and get their approval. But there's a large surface that is just north of our courts that has 1 basketball court, and we have 2 pickleball surfaces. We're going to maybe check to see what it would cost to dig that up, resurface it, and maybe make a multi-use space that basketball and pickleball could play on. And then we could have a couple pickleball courts, maybe not put fencing around because we don't know how much that's all going to be. But that might be moving in the right direction.
Yeah, but the thought being that moving forward, they would come up to speed with the 2 existing courts we built last year.
Right. So we're going to meet with a contractor Friday to find out what it would cost to do that, what steps have to be taken. What do you do first? How much is it? What do you do second? How much is it? What do you do third? How much is it? So we want to make sure that we do it correctly, and nothing would happen until probably May. So this is still in the very early stages.
We're also going to seek a second bid.
Could you come up to the microphone? We can't get you on the, they can't hear you at home if you aren't speaking into the microphone.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we're also looking into an alternate contractor with maybe get a second bid on adding the 3rd court.
That would be good. Is it significantly more than building your second court was, the other new one?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. the first bid we had on 2 courts was $66,000. By the time we got around, we got all our ducks lined up, it was 88,000.
Gosh.
And before it was all said and done, it was 100,000. So we thought, oh, 1 court, maybe $40,000, $50,000. Well, the bid came in at 68,000 without fences.
Wow.
So I was very depressed this morning when I got that information, and we're going to kind of look at some other places. If the need is there. Groveport has just put in how many courts?
8.
8 beautiful courts. Lancaster has just put in 8 beautiful courts. We don't want to get behind the 8 ball. We know that the need is there. We know the interest is there. In a perfect world, the city would just write a check and we would put in our 6 pickleball courts with lighting, water, shelter, But we know there are other things that are coming up that you have to consider. So we'll do the best we can to raise some money.
Well, you have done very well.
Well, thank you.
Exceptionally well in getting this organized and growing the Pickaway County Pickleball Association. How many members do you have now?
We started with 7
Yeah.
and we have 65.
Wow, that's great.
Right. So that's quite a lot of growth. And we do charge a membership fee, or there's a participation way that you can join. We are going to be selling Strombolis again in November. It was a great fundraiser last year. We're going to do it again. And but having bake sales for pickleball doesn't get you too far. So
Sure.
we're going to work on some other grants and have some asks going out into the community. Put up a
Well-
little jar at Pumpkin Show,
Well, we're certainly happy to help any way we can, put legislation through to apply for the grants.
Right.
You have to talk to the park board, of course, because they are in charge of all things park related, and get their blessing on whatever you need to do.
Okay. Jim, you know what needs to be done for that legislation, right? Okay. And if we go with Plan B, we could certainly put that into what we want to do with the NatureWorks grant, correct?
You'll have to decide what you want to do prior to asking for it.
Yep.
But to get permission to get permission, you can get that and then we can,
We now have permission to apply for the NatureWorks
Okay.
grant, so really just got to figure out how,
Okay.
which way you want to apply.
we may know Friday when we meet with this other group. The sooner we go, the better. I mean, the other group said, well, you're not wanting these like tomorrow, are you? I said, oh, no. And he said, because we're backed up. I mean, all these folks are putting in courts everywhere. And so we said, May would be great. He said, oh, yeah, we can do that. So thank you for your time and interest. Jeff?
One question, I love pickleball and play. You said it would tell me more about the basketball court. Is it
Well-
going to be replacing it?
Here's the thing. The park board gave us permission to take a certain amount of their 2 basketball courts to put
The
in our
first time,
initial playing
right.
surface.
Yeah.
Then we raised the money to put in 2 additional courts, self-standing, permanent courts, nets, fencing, wonderful. We still have those 2 surfaces that were basketball. So there's about 120 feet of pretty bad surface that's cracked. So those courts we put in, the surface we put in for our initial 2 have cracked.
Mm.
And the company that we've talked to has said they'll continue to do that. These need to be dug up, it needs to be redone, and so does this basketball court.
Gotcha.
So we're thinking if we have the 120 by 65, I think it's 68.
That's the courts and the basketball.
If we have that surface done, basketball could use their portion. We could stripe it for pickleball in case we had a tournament. We could put a temporary net. And then the other portion of the old basketball court, we could put 2 pickleball courts in. So basically we get our surface, then we get our places for our poles, then we get our nets, then we get our fencing, and we just work on it over a couple of years, unless the city can write us a nice check and we can just do it.
Right. I just want to make sure we've had enough fun with our recent basketball court discussions that doesn't
Well, I know the park
roll into one of
board,
those again.
we know the park board,
No, our intention is not to get rid of that basketball court.
Good.
We're going to try to make it better if we can,
Mhm.
and if we can't afford to, we'll at least leave it alone.
Gotcha.
but it's not in great shape. The surface out there is not in great shape.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't-
sure you guys will submit plans and all that too, but I was just asking that question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it might go over better with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources for the NatureWorks grant. It might go over better if we say a multi-use surface. They may not care, I don't know. But we haven't seen a lot of basketball people out there. So if we did have that court striped, we could set up a temporary net and then we could have, well,
Yeah,
5
but
times, we could have 20 people playing at one time instead of 8.
I understand that. The problem is pickleball is so popular that you're going to be out on that court playing and then somebody's going to come to play basketball and you're going to be like, no, we're playing pickleball. You can't play basketball, you know?
That would be something
That's
we'd
what
have,
I'm trying to
right.
forego any complications we might see down the road.
Right, that would be something we'd have to work out with the park board.
Yeah.
You know, it might be that they have preferential treatment. It would be kind of hard to give it up if we raised all the money, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But really, we are out there a lot, and every once in a while, one person comes out and shoots some baskets. Sometimes a couple of people come out. Maybe more will come, but there's going to be a nice court at Ted Lewis now. There's a court over here at Corwin, so who knows?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for working us in.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Happy pickleballing.
Thanks.
All right, under old business, we have a resolution that we discussed at our last meeting. Before we go into that, I would like to discuss the Downtown Assessment Resource Team report that was sent to you and to all of council, just to review that. Did you have any thoughts that you wanted to share, that and the Blue Zones project built environment report?
No, I just, kind of looking over those, didn't realize how old both of those reports are. We're looking at almost a decade old for those two. So,
Yeah, one was done in 2017 and the other was 2018. So yeah, 7, 8 years
so
ago.
I think it wouldn't hurt to do, to go into agreement with the small nation. I don't
Sure.
have any problem with that. So, if everybody else agrees.
Yeah, I just wanted to, first of all, just talk about those reports.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
everybody in council has taken a look at those and just reviewed what we have. The DARCH report, Downtown Assessment Resource Team, was done by Heritage Ohio in November of 2017 as a way to enhance the downtown revitalization program, identify the commercial district's major challenges, opportunities, and needs. That also helped us establish the Uptown Circleville Board, which is an affiliate of the Main Street program, to work in partnership with the city, other organizations like the Visitors Bureau and the Chamber of Commerce, volunteers, and stakeholders. So those design recommendations that the Heritage Ohio provided include reinforcing good maintenance practices in the downtown, including routine inspections to catch problems early when it's less expensive to fix, long-term planning for infill once revitalization progresses and the market appreciates so that the vacant lots no longer remain making more economic sense empty. And then also they want to partner with the Historic Review Board and the zoning officials to encourage historic signage, provide information, education, and advice on preserving the downtown's historic buildings. So this was, in 2018, and the city has accomplished a lot of the objectives that they put forth. We first hired a zoning inspector and code enforcement, and then completely revised the zoning code, which had been neglected for many years. We put a demolition delay order in place so that people couldn't take down historic structures. One thing I was told was about the train station. I don't know if you're aware, if you remember the train station that was next to the tracks on South Court Street. I was told that people went in and applied for their permit to demo that building at 9 o'clock and it was down by noon that day. So there wasn't any time for any conversation if the some sort of historic people wanted to preserve that, wanted to buy it, any other options could be discussed. And so that demolition delay order, now people need to wait 90 days so that things can be discussed. Because once a building's gone, it's just gone. There's no moving forward with it. So there are a lot of actions items that are in the DART assessment, and the city certainly needs to work with Uptown Circle to achieve. The Blue Zones project, which is the Built Environment Report, was done in March of 2018 and was sponsored by Berger Health System. It focused more on the buildings and the infrastructure and, talked about some things we've been talking about in council and strategic planning. The needs to have a pedestrian and bicycle plan in the city, so we encourage more people to have healthier lifestyles, walking and riding their bikes. Transit rides were needed, that was identified, and currently that is being done by PICA, which is nice. Their bus runs Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and circles the town, stopping at, I brought this in to share, Pickaway Terrace, then it goes to Walmart, then it goes to the Jobs One Stop, then to PICA, then to Ohio Heights, then to Kroger, Apple Ridge, then the YMCA, Berger Hospital, up to the library, and then back to the courthouse. And that does that loop every hour. So if anybody wants to get on and ride around the city, the rides are free. And they also will pick you up if you need a ride specifically. So you can call PICA and find out about that. So it's a great service for people who do not have transportation. And that's a good thing that this report called for. So we've accomplished that. The Blue Zones also called for bike paths, which council's been working with the service department to research and implement. Recommended hiring a city planner, which we now have, to focus on smart growth strategies, improving parks and green spaces, which we certainly have been doing. And it's mentioned the low traffic volumes and that a number of our streets qualify for road diets, which the service committee has been discussing. So, those were good reports that we had. Yes, they are 7 and 8 years old. Some of those things have been accomplished, which is great moving forward, but always more work that can be done. So that brings us to our small nation proposal from the mayor. The resolution was tabled at our last meeting. So I would like to make a motion to take it from the table and bring it back to committee.
I will second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second by Mr. Brooks.
Tice,
Yes.
Brooks,
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Mrs. Burns, would you please read the ordinance?
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a consultation agreement with Small Nation.
Thank you. So the mayor presented this. Would you like to speak on this?
Yeah, a very good observation and summary of the two reports. I learned a little bit from the Blue Zones project. I had heard that Blue Zones was here before. They read a book through the hospital and the library, and so I was able to actually learn something from their report. Happy to say that many of their recommendations, as you highlighted, have been implemented or are being implemented by the city. So that is positive. As a founding board member of Uptown Circleville and the DART report, very familiar with that and the setup of Uptown Circleville. In talking to a couple of Uptown Circleville board members, they believe that the relationship with Uptown Circleville can only benefit the city and move forward and progress the recommendations that and the work that they're doing in the downtown area. I did want to highlight, there is a report on the city of Bryan, Ohio, which our city planner is very familiar with. It talks about some more specific items of the small town success formula, includes immersive experiences, one-on-one consulting, financing strategies, design direction, and brand building. And I think a couple of those are new areas that haven't been talked about in the two reports that we had before. And so I think that making a well-rounded plan and going at this from all directions is beneficial. And so again, I would ask that the committee consider the adoption of the resolution to allow me to enter into that contract. The money is already budgeted, so there is no financial need from council at this time, but I believe it will be beneficial for the city to move forward with this.
Thank you. Yes, I looked into the Small Nation website and did some research on that. It looks like their process as a group, as you have mentioned in the past, they bought and renovated historic buildings. Then they would actively recruit tenants, whether it be specialty retail stores, downtown eateries, event centers, or upper floor loft apartments. Then Small Nation became equity partners, even providing loans to those tenants if they were not able to get a small business loan. And then, as you said, they would work on design and promote those businesses, creating strong brands, engaging interiors and marketing, both through websites and billboards. So yes, that does address some different things than we've had in the past, and could be good. So let me ask you this, Mayor, would the goal be to create a team that does that then in Circleville?
I think that would be for us to decide whatever the recommendations are that they provide to us in that report, and decide at that time.
Okay. Does the 18,500, does that include enrollment in what they call Small B School for lessons and videos to learn how to develop properties differently?
That I'm not aware of. I think that it is just the 2 visits, the plan and the renderings.
Okay, because they have a program on their website. It says they have for a year, you have a meeting every quarter, and they help create strategies, which I would think would be in the report, and help brainstorm ideas. So I wasn't sure if that would be part of the
I can find that
contract.
out.
That would be great. Yeah, I appreciate that. And then you said that we would have a tour of Bell Fountain with them. How many people or who would be attending that tour?
That's a great question. Once we have the adoption of the resolution, we can work on a group of stakeholders to take there, and then they would do the same thing and have a group of stakeholders here that they would meet with. I don't know that the 2 groups necessarily need to be the same, that they're meeting with that go to Bell Fountain and are here in Circleville. But that's a discussion that we can have based on who they have had visit them in the past. From what I've seen, it's been city administration, visitors bureau, city planners, business owners, things like that have gone to Bell Fountain. I know the city of Chillicothe just recently did their visit to Bell Fountain.
And did you say that you have some property owners in the downtown area that are interested in the program?
So there were property owners that I met with when this discussion started. And there is one that has said that, they're interested in this. I think all of our downtown businesses, property owners are interested in revitalizing their properties.
Gosh, I hope so. You have any questions, John?
I don't have any maybe a question, kind of a statement, but it seems like the DART was for the historic and the business revitalization. It was more transportation, but all these things were done at that time to kind of get momentum and help us, if I'm understanding correctly, with both of those areas. And it seems like this almost kind of ties in with it, and then will hopefully help keep the momentum moving forward.
Yes.
'Cause some of this stuff we've already accomplished,
Mhm.
and there's some things that maybe we can identify to keep moving forward.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you brought up that up. So in the city of Bryan, they have the Dum Dum factory for the small suckers. And so that's not in their downtown area. So what they did is they knew that the impact that the Dum Dum factory had on the city of Bryan. And so they brought in and created a slogan for the city that is the Sweet Life, that ties in a factory that was outside of the downtown area into their downtown area, and actually brought the museum and the gift shop from that factory into the downtown area as a destination to get more people to come into the downtown area. So that's a recommendation and a strategy that isn't central to the downtown area. It's citywide and village-wide that was able to create a quality of life space in the city of Bryan. And so I would imagine that when they come, they're going to focus on branding and how we can do that for the city, through their lens of being from outside the city to see opportunity for the city of Circleville.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to say maybe we don't use Sofidel and toilet paper as our as our branding. I'm sorry, just a
Keep
joke.
it clean.
Just a
No.
joke. Yes, anyway. Okay, Zach, you have anything to add or questions?
No, don't think
Okay,
so.
well, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to pass this on to council at our next meeting, which is going to be next month.
October 1st, it looks
Yep,
like.
October 1st, with recommendation for passage.
And I'll second.
Thank you.
Tice,
Yes,
Brooks.
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
and I want to say I appreciate the opportunity to table that so we all had a time to do some reviewing and looking, because we don't tend to pull these studies out and take a look at them until something comes up like this.
Well, they're out now.
They're up now, yes. And to that, Melissa has posted a folder on our OneDrive page under council documents that has these, what's the title of it? Downtown improvement studies or something like that. So if anybody wants to look at any of these studies, they're on the OneDrive. So,
Yes, that's exactly what it's called.
okay. Under new business, we have another ordinance.
An ordinance expressing an intent to purchase 2.15 acres more or less of land for parkland and authorizing the execution of related agreements and documents and appropriating funds by the city auditor and director of public service, therefore, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This comes to us from the Service Department. Mr. Stanley, would you tell us a little bit about it?
Hannah's been working on this, so
Oh,
I'll let Hannah talk.
Maybe Hannah should then. Our planner.
Yeah, so this is for the property that is just north of the Atwater School. It doesn't include the old school. It's just that field kind of to the north. But we talked about this property in an executive session earlier this year about we were looking at purchasing it. So it came on the market and it was listed at $199,900. And we have put in an offer for $189,000 that was contingent upon council approval. So the sellers have accepted that offer. So with you guys' approval, we'll be moving forward with that purchase for a neighborhood park for future development.
Excellent. Yes, we've talked about this in strategic planning for several years. It was put on second on the list behind the park, Emerine Park on Corwin Street, because we thought that the south end was a little bit more in need at that time, but we're thrilled to have this coming before council. It also was identified in our Montrose plan and under the park section as something that we should look into for the city long-term, and would love to have the city buy it before a developer comes and puts a few more houses in there. And then
Yeah.
it's parkland lost forever.
Yeah, I actually was starting to get a few calls from people interested in developing it, asking me what they would be able to put there. So glad we got a start on it.
Well, and it's not enough, space to really put a major housing thing in.
Yeah, it could be
Development in.
maybe 7 to 9 houses,
Okay.
something around there. But
Do you have any questions or comments about the Atwater green space?
Just, so the purchase price, that is what it is. It's just the market, I guess. But we're buying it for park use, but then it'll go to the park board to determine what the use will be. Is that correct?
yeah, they'll be
Okay.
making decisions on what ultimately happens there, but it'll be some sort of a neighborhood park. That's what's allowed by the zoning that's currently there. So
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other thoughts? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to pass this on to council on October 1st with recommendation for passage.
I'll second.
Tice,
Yes.
Brooks,
Yes.
Moats.
Yes.
All right. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for coming to tell us about that. Okay, the last thing we have under new business is Historic Review Board vacancies. We do have 2 vacancies on the Historic Review Board, so if anyone is interested in applying for those, the application is on the website, on the homepage. Just scroll down to the bottom and you'll be able to click on it there. Is there any other new business that you have this evening?
No.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Mook,
Second.
Mr. Brooks. All in favor, say aye.
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 The meeting is adjourned. We will start our.